conference on the Great Lakes region, Vicente, Muanda. Ambassador, welcome. Thank you for joining us on Sunday Live. A big meeting is ongoing at the moment right here in Nairobi. 12 member states of the Great Lakes region are coming together to discuss youth issues. My understanding is that you have the leaders and policymakers meeting the youth and being given proposals and suggestions by the youth. The concern with many of our countries has been that there's a lot of talk and a lot of, a lot happens in policy, but it just doesn't get felt on the ground. How is this conference going to be any different, do you think?
Well, we believe that the conference will be different because we expect head of state to agree on the policy framework that should govern the member states within the 12 members that are part of the ICGLR. And
so the commitment from the leaders of government, from the presidents, is to follow through.
Will follow through because the issues are being discussed from the youth themselves, then will be followed by the ministers who will direct them to the head of states. So we believe it's not just a meeting like any other meeting, but we believe that the head of states, they will agree on a framework which will be proposed by the youth themselves.
Let me ask this, and I'm coming to questions and comments that have been sent in. Thank you so much from our viewers who care about this issue. Thank you. We're going to send all of them, by the way, through to the conference. But let me ask this particular question. A lot of insecurity in many of our nations. In some countries, it's hotspots, areas that are particularly affected by insecurity. And there's, people are cognizant of the fact that there is a connection between insecurity and lack of opportunity. Is this something that governments are taking seriously?
Yes, it is. As you know, that in our region, the ICGLR is mostly focused on peace and security. These are one of the pillars of the organization: peace, stability, and development. These are the pillars of the organization. And recently, you are aware that there was the issue of insecurity, DRC, was at the center of the discussion of our head of states. Nowadays, we can say that there is a relative stability in the eastern DRC. Although, while we're expecting stability in all region, suddenly the east of South Sudan come in, and the Central Republic come in. But as you know, there are many initiatives going on in order to find a solution in South Sudan and also in the Central
African Republic.
So, but let me say it that there is a direct linkage between stability, peace, and employment of
opportunity for the young people. And let's come straight to their questions. Someone here at Oscar Kimani on Twitter says, only 1 out of 6 graduates, these are graduates, so this is the cream of the crop, and this is a small percentage who get to university, can get a job. I feel sorry for university students who start panicking at the last minute. He also says 70% of public university graduates I've interviewed leave me very sad. Many are clueless and unprepared. Somebody else, or Tenyo F, says relevant education is the only weapon that can help the youth to grow. The problem I think that we have is a disconnect between our education systems, and this is in Kenya but also replicated in many other countries. Our education systems and the workplace. Do our governments realize there's a disconnect, and are you at all engaging with education ministries to try and prepare youth for the job market?
There is this direction. We are moving the process in that direction to make linkage between employment opportunity and education. I believe that one of the outcomes will come from the meeting. The youth themselves, they have started expressing the need of reformulating the curriculum of education, the need of establishing a linkage between different education institutions from different member states.
Are we moving too slow on this, by the way? If there's a recognition from even the public that this is a key area, why is the government so slow in reacting?
I don't think that the government's reacting slowly. The problem that it is in a certain magnitude that people not see easily the progress. But of course, we recognize that there are problems, and the government recognize the existence of the problem, and we are happy that the youth themselves, they are coming to identify all problems that affect the youth, and to put to the head of states to check, to decide what is the policy to be followed in our member states.
So you're saying it's great to see the youth coming up and pointing these things out.
We are very, very happy that the youth themselves are coming to point out what is the problem and what should be the solution.
An interesting one here. Sir Carlos Venga says the government has failed to provide jobs, so youth had turned into thugs.
Well, he may be right in his point of view, but I don't think that our government has failed. Let us, when one have this kind of perception, it may be in the process of comparing different countries.
Okay.
Africa is a continent that is progressing. We are fighting. We still have a lot of lot of challenges.
Lots of opportunities as well.
As well. What we need and what is needed from the youth is to be proactive. To be proactive, that everyone who has skills should try to implement the skills. Because we can educate a very good student from university. If people are not proactive, if people have no initiative, if people cannot embrace entrepreneurship, we will always blame the government for not succeeding to solve the problem for everybody.
Can I tell you that someone agrees with you? At Mahenia Sam on Twitter says, it's not possible to employ everyone, he says. Kenyans must also aim to be job creators. So this is something that needs to be applied perhaps across the board. Somebody else asks, and this is perhaps an important question, for a generation that might have felt abandoned and is not quite youth anymore, somebody says, who will help men, and I'm going to add women, at 40 who are educated, energetic, and unemployed? Can't the youth include up to 45-year-olds, he suggests?
Well, I don't believe that the problem of the age of the period of being youth or not being a youth. The problem is identifying the issues. The issue has been identified. Let me remind you that the head of states decided to conduct this event when they discussed the issue of SHBV, gender-based violence, in December 2011. They also directed the Secretariat to work in order to organize an event that should address the issue of unemployment within the youth of the region. So I believe that there's not the age. Whenever we can extend the youth, the period of being youth to 50 years, if the opportunities are not there, if the government, and again, I would like to emphasize that employment opportunity for youth cannot be only solved by the government. Let us call the private sector also to play the role.
So we have a question here actually that relates to that. And this one reads, the government should make business registration simple to create an enabling environment to help the private sector move along and play that role. In some of our countries, it is very difficult. I think Rwanda has been a perfect example of how you can remove all the different registration headaches and make it easy for people to start business. Is this a discussion that's being had at your level?
Yes, it is, because if you had the intervention of the State Secretary of Kenya, he did clearly emphasize the initiatives that have been taken in Kenya. Mm-hmm. Well, there are those initiatives that should be adopted by the Parliament. But I believe that what she said yesterday clearly will provide a youth opportunity in the area of or get opportunity in financing, in the area of database, data information, where there is opportunity, so that the youth can themselves, even there is a proposal that when government, parliament are discussing budget, should direct a percentage to work and create opportunity for the youth.
In those discussions in budget. Thank you for sharing your views. And before we close, I'd just like to get your comments. Certainly a lot is happening in Kenya. And the question that many people who are watching, and especially the youth, is when am I going to feel it? I need to be able to feel it where I am. I need to see the ease of business registration. I need to see access to markets and to tenders and to all these other things. What commitment can you make? These are costly conferences. They're big conferences. Policymakers are coming together to learn and share, and in this one to hear from the youth. What commitment can you make to our audience and what expectations they can have?
The commitment I can make to the youth that let us have hope. And let us involve stakeholders, starting by the government and the private sector. But let us also request the youth to be proactive. Don't lose hope. We should fight, because that is our life that is at stake. And I believe that working together, especially promote dialogue between government, youth, and other sectors of the society.
Business, private sector, and thank you,
yes.
Thank you so much. Don't go away. We're still looking at net search, and please stay with us as we do that.